Hello everyone. Today's topic is contemplation. In my last video, I think I explained something regarding being positive, negative, and certain thing that making decisions, connecting ourselves to the divine, and how positive thinking helps a lot in my previous videos. So today's topic is contemplation. I also explained in my last video about, making a goal in life, making a choice in life, how it is helpful if we are in a place of calmness to see the things very clearly from a perspective of divine, which is actually beneficial for us if we adopt that kind of perception in life. This is exactly why we need to contemplate in life. If somebody who is either have anger issues or anxious, or somebody who think that they have lack of focus in life, or somebody who's jumpy, easily startled, somebody who get distracted easily, starts some things but doesn't finishes it, maybe they think they have a lack of patience, or even if somebody who doesn't think about themselves in these ways, it is always advisable to have some kind of a contemplation. The point of contemplation is to see things from a different perspective. There are two faces to the coins, but when an incident happens, there might be different versions of whatever happened. From the point of view, if certain thing happened between three people, and imagine if there is a witness, even among those three people, their version was, it could be completely different from each other's, and whoever witnessed that incident, even their understanding of exactly what happened might be completely different from each other, because everybody's ability to see things, to understand things, to perceive things is different from each other. Even it is the same incident in the same place, it could be completely different. So whenever we are trying to do something good for somebody else, whenever it felt like someone was unkind to us, whenever it felt like we need to make a decision in our life, whenever we feel like we need to decide and go ahead and do something, say something, make a important decision, this is why people usually keep thinking about what to do. The point of contemplation is not about what to do, what is the right uh, how can I say, what is the actual good solution for this situation. That is how we are supposed to think. No, contemplation is not just about thinking about what happened too many times in a similar way, but to pause and to see, is there any different angle to the same thing that happened. Even if it's something, uh, uh, a conversation between you or with somebody else, it might, this is exactly why when people having conversation, and after sometimes it might actually completely feel differently, after sometimes when we remember things that we had this kind of a conversation with other people, after sometimes it might completely feel very differently, whether it's a positive or negative, that is different. So it is our responsibility to choose peace over negative outbursts or negative thinking and those kind of things. So in order to do that, I know instead of reacting, we are supposed to respond. In order to respond, certain times having a contemplation is very important. Pausing in life to give a thought about, am I in a right path? Is this right for me? Is this person is right for me? Is this decision is right for me? This person had said something and it offended. It felt like offense. From that person's perspective, from my perspective, or whoever you are, your perspective, and from third perspective, how it is actually that incident happened, whether the conversation, because there are people's with just a change in tone, a simple thank you can look like arrogance to somebody else, just because somebody's tone was little bit different. Because people who are not inclined to these kind of things, they do not care about these kind of things, tone and such things. People who are very sensitive, people with a lot of consideration towards others and themselves, they may pick up these kind of things as a cue to understand what is exactly this person is conveying. This is a sign of a trauma, that looking at a person, their facial expression, their tone, the body language, the behavior, picking up the cues. Because people who grew up with a lot of trauma, uh, learning to understand the situation, to make a plan A, plan B, and trying to please people, say something to not to get these kind of people irritated, or to make sure that kind of people would not react by behaving in certain way, by saying certain things. This is how people with lot of trauma may actually choose to experience life, because they do not know, because they do not want any criticism, any fight, any confrontations, anything that would make them stand up and go through all the things that they felt was not right between this person and another person, and that might lead to another conversation, heated conversation or whatever, because of the fear. What would happen if I say something like this, kind of a thing? So these kind of cues, people who are always, they, it might look like, people, there are people who are very light sleepers. There are people who always observe other people's facial expressions, smallest of the cues, to understand how this person might think. Especially, I would say INFJs, INTJs, even ISFJs sometimes, and certain personality, I wouldn't say everybody generally, but certain kind of a people who experienced these kind of things, who do not like confrontation. It might look like they are lying or they are hiding, they are secretive, but they are not. They just do not want that confrontation with somebody else, or misunderstanding between themselves and other people, because they are used to being misunderstood and they want to reduce that portion. So they might actually say certain things, they may actually lie to cover up a possible misunderstanding that they think in their own head. It's because of the trauma, because they think if they are understanding of the situation, then they are supposed like a chameleon, they may behave differently with different kind of people. It is all understandable. These kind of people who usually if they have a plan to go out 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the evening, they might be very not at ease in the morning. They make a plan, wake up at this time, and they have to finish this work by this time, they have to take a bath this time, they have to do this and do that, and calculate how much time it would take to reach the place. And so then exactly at what o'clock they have to leave their house, so they can exactly reach the place in um, like a proper plan, so they wouldn't miss certain things, or the plan wouldn't get ruined or something like that. It is because the nervous system tells them not to be in a calmer mode. Because of that, people end up doing so much plans, and plan A, plan B also. If this doesn't work out, then this is how it is. Taking the bus, if that's not how it is, then is get a cab or something like that, because they themselves having that overthinking in their head because of the trauma, because they do not wishes to lose that experience, something that they wanted to enjoy, and that fear that what if that get ruined. This is exactly how it happens between people too. This is exactly why when even if a person says something, whether it's a good thing or a negative thing, sitting down and having a this contemplation is something that is very useful as a tool to keep our life in a peaceful way. Because even if a person said something with a negative understanding for themselves, we might actually take it with a lot of positivity, and not to react is the bestest way. And contemplation can also be helpful to think about our decisions that we made in our life, our priorities our made in life, who we choose to let in our life, and who we choose to let out from our life, and what is we were supposed to do next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. What is the heart's desire? No, living in a present is very important. People with a lot of trauma, people with a lot of suffocation, suffering, misery, tend to daydream, think about the future, and living in a world that may look like a fantasy world, but this is a coping mechanism. It is not a bad thing. This is really good, because having hope is very good. But keeping in mind that presence is also very important is something that people with a lot of trauma usually miss this point, because it's all about future for them. This is how it is going to be, that is how it is going to be. And living in the moment is something that people with a lot of trauma can learn to do. In order to do that, in order to let go of those doubts, confusions, and fears, and that overthinking, and anything that's negative thoughts, it is advisable, it is suggestible that sitting down and having a contemplation means not just having conversation in our own head, just sitting down and focusing on our own breath. And even if somebody cannot meditate, focusing on our breath is something that helps us calm down. And then actually asking the divine, this incident happened, this is how I felt, what is actually the reality, what is actually beneficial for me, what is that, how I can take it, how I can perceive it, what is the right way to proceed, what is the next step would be that's better for me. This is where my priorities are. Is these priorities are good for me? Is this person is good for me? This person said something, so how I'm supposed to accept that, how I'm supposed to perceive that, how to do all of those things, these kind of things, even smallest of the things, from the biggest of the things. We can do a lot of things by contemplation, especially if conversation between two people becomes negative, even if it is just from one side, and if it is make the other person sad, angry, depressed, sad, or rattled, it is advisable, it is very suggestible to sit down and contemplate regarding actually what happened. Giving the benefit of the doubt for the other person is something that we can do, but not all the time. Because if we let other people take that benefit, and it also becomes our responsibility to make sure that they put effort to earn that respect back from us. Because trust is something that other people has to earn it. We are not supposed to give that trust to others that easily. But not doubting them also is very important. This is the point. It is like that box, which is seems like a very easy to open, but it's not easy to open as well. It's not even a Pandora box. Something that's very simple, it seems complicated, but once you understand the concept, it's easier. Not to doubt, but not to trust them, but to trust the divine. So contemplating is something, people say, even there are, lot of time, people say a lot of things, and the other person might actually perceive in a very different way, even if it is positive sometimes. So having contemplation helps us to clear out all the things that's negative, and helps us to focus on something that we can do, that is positively inclined towards something that is beneficial for us. And contemplation is gives us a clarity regarding what actually happened. People, if somebody is in a happy mode and comparing, if the same person is in a sad mode, depressive mode, and the same person is in angry mode, the same incident, if something happens to them, depend on their mood, they may actually perceive it in a very different way. They may actually remember things very differently. you know um, whatever whatever the incident happened, or just even a conversation, or an experience, whatever, even if it is something random. So this is exactly why it helps to let go of that, attachment, negative attachment towards whatever happened, unpleasant if it was. It helps to be in a place of forgiveness if you are supposed to do that, because that is better for the peace. Peace is something that we should be prioritizing, but not with the suffocation. Choosing peace for ourselves in a situation means we are being in a place where we are not offended by somebody else, but we do have that self-love and self-respect enough to say things and doing things that done in our favor, but without the ego. No, choosing a peace is something that we are supposed to do without the ego, but with self-respect. This is exactly how having this contemplation in life helps us to respond to life and not to react. It is how we can be um, free from lot of negative entanglements, lot of karmic entanglements, negative karmic entanglements. So this is something that's really helpful for us. I hope it helps.